This is 5-2, Part C. For our homework, I've only assigned the second half of this, 5 through 8, which is all 4-part textures, which is what we'll do most of our time in class doing, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So what we're doing here, we are given a Roman numeral, and we're given some of the notes in the chord, and we have to fill in the missing notes of the chord in our alto and our tenor parts. So this first one is in the key of G major, and we are spelling a 4 chord in G major. So our first step is to figure out what notes are in a 4 chord in the key of G major. To do that, I've written out a G major scale here, and our fourth note of the G major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, is C. So our 4 chord is a C major scale. Next, we have to follow the voice leading rules for spelling chords. So for root position triads, we're going to have 2 voices with the root. We'll have 1 voice with the third and 1 voice with the fifth. Let's look at what we already have here. So our bass voice has a C. Our soprano voice has a C. So we already have 2 roots. That means we need a E and a G. We need our third and our fifth still. So now all we have to do is make sure that we're following all of our spacing rules and range rules. So each voices only have a limited range. You can't write your alto parts too high or too low, or your tenor parts too high or too low. And spacing wise, we can't have more than an octave between soprano and alto, and we can't have more than an octave between alto and tenor. So keeping that in mind, there's actually only one way that you can solve this particular problem, because if I put a G up here in the alto and then put an E down here in the tenor, when I go to check my spacing, well, I don't have more than an octave between soprano and alto, so that's okay. But I do have more than an octave between alto and tenor. I have an octave plus a third, so that's a spacing error. So I can't do that. If I can't do that, the only other thing I can do, instead, I'll give the E to the alto right there on the bottom line, and the G to the tenor right there on the top space of the bass clef, making sure that my stems are in the right direction. Alto always has stems down, tenor always has stems up, and then I'm done. Then in part D, we're going to do the exact same thing as part C, where we're given a key, we're given a Roman numeral, and we're given one of the voices, and we have to fill in the rest of the voices, but we have this extra requirement of they want us to specifically spell our chord with either a close or an open voicing. So we'll also want to be aware of that. So if we're writing a close voicing, we want to have our soprano, alto, and tenor all within an octave of each other, or if we're writing an open voicing, we want to have our soprano, alto, and tenor spanning more than an octave.